Hey, Wendy.
Hey, guess what time it is?
We're a little early today.
You know what? We couldn't wait today. Well, that's part of it, but you've got big plans today, and so welcome, ladies. It's time to take a breath. It's time to stop. We're going to step away from the craziness that's on our to-do list and just take a breath and let's just chat about some stuff.
I think it's a great idea, Wendy. It has been, I think every Thursday we say, oh, it's just been a week. But I feel like this one has been a week, hasn't it?
It has. It has. Tomorrow we prepare. We've been preparing to say goodbye to my grandmother. She has gone to be with the Lord. We get to rejoice that back tomorrow. So that is just kind of added to my week. And then just so many exciting things happening. And I can hardly believe it's been almost a year.
I know, I know. And on my side, we're closing my mother's house today. We've been waiting this for 9 months, and so today is the day. And it's bittersweet, right? It's the saying goodbye and closing a door and a chapter. But the Lord's got something new and exciting, and so both of us are doing this farewell thing today and getting ready for what's new on the road as well. But you're right. We have celebration, our 1 year anniversary.
I can't believe it's coming up. I am so excited. But I was this week has been a little bit of a challenge. And I felt a little kick in the butt. I don't know about any of you ladies, but we all I think we all run where we're at right now. I mean, what Deborah and I are talking about is not new, right? We've got challenges coming our way. This isn't going right. That's not going right. And we've got more work that we know what to do with, and we've got family and this and that and the other things, right? We've got all these balls we're juggling. But I'm going to tell you this week on Monday, our devotional.
Yes.
Really, I should have realized that was the first kick in the seat of my pants this week, right? To get me thinking. And so, ladies, if you don't get our devotional, I'd really encourage you to sign up. But every Monday morning, we meet as a staff, and the first thing we do in our staff meeting is we go over the devotional that Patrice writes and sends out. And in this week's devotional, it was on no more condemnation. And I thought, I read the title. I'm like, okay, this is going to be easy, right? But we're going through this, and it got me thinking about what do I still feel guilty about? And in the devotional, Patrice says, guilt is a burden and a weight that holds us back from realizing our destiny and potential. And I'm going to tell you, when they read that, I about choked. I'm like, what? What? I never thought of that. And so then I'm thinking, okay, well, what guilt is weighing me down? So then I started listing all of my failures and, basically, unpacking that backpack of sins that we carry around that we think we need to do that. And then I'm sitting there and I thought, I think you just missed the whole point of the story.
Well, Wendy, I think that's so true. It was an impactful devotional. And every Monday it is. It touches a sore part somewhere, and that's the point of these. But I think the point of this devotional was that even though we profess our faith, we don't always walk in it or allow His Word to guide our thinking and accept that His forgiveness of what we've done wrong or made mistakes. And I'm sorry, girlfriend. Let's not compare the size of our backpacks, because I have my own that I've got slung over my shoulder as well.
And again, I think the Lord doesn't want us carrying it at all. I think that's the whole point, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That as Christians, as we, have accepted the Lord, and He gave the greatest sacrifice, right? He sent Jesus to take away our sins. It's like, well, why are we still holding on to it? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, Wendy, we've kind of been on this course this last couple of weeks, haven't we? First, we talked about jealousy, and that was sort of a hard one, wasn't it?
Yes, yes, it was. It was
Yeah.
a bit tough. And
Well, I had to admit a few things, but how we can walk out in that, and then really how we're overcoming that. But this condemnation, these are things that we hold on to, and I think for many women, we do because we set ourselves up that we have to act and do and perform in a certain way when we're running in either in a business that we own or that we are an employee of. We have expectations for what we do. And if we don't meet those expectations, those are very hard for us to say, I didn't do that quite well, or I didn't treat that person the way that I should have. And instead of taking action now and apologizing and asking for forgiveness, we just add that to the backpack, right? We just put it in there and carry it along with us. And the Lord has no desire for us to do that.
yep, I love one of the people posted in the chat. Ouch! All capital letters. You're
Yeah.
right. Ouch! It was. And you're right. We talked about jealousy, but last week we started talking about completing instead of competing. And then I realized that maybe carrying around this condemnation, right, is in us too. And before we got on this call, I told Deborah, I told you, ladies, I told Deborah, I said, we haven't even talked about International Business Month, Women's Month. We've not even celebrated it. And then I thought, actually, I really think we have, because sometimes we've got to face some things and clear them out. Right. And then I started thinking about, okay, so how is this impacting us? And then I started to see some cause and effect. But as women entrepreneurs, sometimes we hold on to things when we should release them to God.
That's so true, Whitney. And I'm going to tell you, for me, I have a little box. I should have brought it with me, a little decorative box. And sometimes I just have to write something, the title on a piece of paper and put it in the box and say, okay, this is God's present, right? I mean, this is for you to handle so that I can forget about it, because we stuff that, put it inside of us. We don't handle it. We don't deal with it. We walk away from it. It's really hard to release them and put them in his hands. And that's all he wants us to do.
I know. And I talk about it. I delegate it up. I delegate the challenge up to the Lord. We are always talking about delegating things. Well, I delegate some of that stuff up to the Lord, but sometimes I feel like I left a string on it so that I could hold on to it just in case, which is a little bit of, well, okay,
Mm.
it's a lot crazy. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I started also wondering about, because of this, what blessings did I miss out on because I was so focused on those past mistakes? And I know as an entrepreneur, I have gone through that. I should have called that client back. I missed that. I should have said that better. I didn't get that sale because I said that, or I should have paid more attention to my kids and they wouldn't have been this, or I was too distracted with this and I didn't do that. And because I was so focused on that, what were the opportunities that the Lord had brought before me and I wasn't letting go? And I just, this just really kind of hit me. So as I said, ladies, it was just it's been a little bit of a crazy week.
Well, it's also about, when you talk about letting go, if we're holding on to that string or we're holding on to that past mistake, we don't have our hands open, do we? So that we can
Right.
accept something new that the Lord has for us. And I got to tell you, I feel like I've been on this journey for many years now, that about the release and let go. There is some sort of comfort when we know what our limitations are or where we've made mistakes. And then when we hold on to those, it doesn't permit us to really to advance and to get into what our purpose is. So I think it's really important. I think we have a couple of talking points today. I think I'll cover some of this. I know it's not an exhaustive list, but I think it's a good start for us.
Absolutely. Well, I'll start this out, Deborah, because this one's hits me really, really close. Receive forgiveness for your past mistakes. Now, here's the word that I want everybody to hear: receive. Because the forgiveness has already been offered. It's not like we have to ask for it. The problem is our hands are so closed tightly around those things that we're holding on to that our hand isn't open to receive the forgiveness from our past mistakes. And because after we make the mistakes, because we all do, I used to tell my kids, we all make mistakes. The difference is whether we stand up and own them and ask for forgiveness and try and do better the next time. So, asking for forgiveness when we do make mistakes, do we repent? We need to receive God's forgiveness. As I said, open your hand and let it go. Many of us struggle with receiving forgiveness because we haven't forgiven ourselves. And I'm going to tell you there are no truer words than that, is we have to forgive ourselves. However, the Lord desires that his people walk in the freedom that his forgiveness provides. We have to work to do for the Lord so that we must receive his forgiveness. Open your hand and let it go.
And I love the verse from Hebrews, Wendy, for I will forgive their wickedness and will remember their sins no more. I mean, God promises not to remember them. I don't know why we have to hang on to them and put them into an album and put a big border around them and put stickers and put flowers and everything else so we can flip back through and see the reasons why all these things happen. Lord's going, I don't even know what you're talking about.
That's right. And sometimes I think, on some, I find for myself that I can release some of the bigger things to the Lord. It's those little things that I feel like I hold on to, that came out wrong or hurt someone's feelings, or I said this stupid thing, or, I'm sure in the whole grand scheme of things, what the Lord is like, that was really small, and you're the only one holding on to that. And so I think that that's a really big part of what we also need to let go of, is the big and the little.
Well, I'm telling you, control is an issue. And when we try to control everything about what we do and how we do it, and even our own forgiveness, that in itself is a sin in God's eyes. So we really need to say, okay, Lord, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to learn. Thank you for this mistake, and thank you for forgiving me for it, and give it back to him and let him deal with it, because he'll make it all right. Well, let's go into talking point number 2. And this is, okay, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but resist dwelling on our past mistakes. And Isaiah 43:18 says, forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. And so how can we, we need to be able to move on. And this is a lie straight out of the depths of hell. The enemy loves for us to come back to it and bring up our mistakes to show us that, we're not ready. We haven't done it right. We're not prepared. We're not smart enough. We're not skilled enough. We don't have the right words. Look at what you did before. This is not ever going to turn out. I mean, those tapes that go around and around in our head. And we really, as I say, need to say thank you very much for that. It's time for you to go now. We're going to open the door. Have a nice day. And sometimes I think we need to put a foot on the fanny and kick them out the door. and say, I don't have to think on those because it's a new day and the Lord has control over this. The Lord is leading me. I need to trust in Him that all things are going to be to my benefit, and that we need to resist coming back to those mistakes because it's saying that God isn't enough. And
Sure.
I don't know about you, but and God is all sufficient. I'm the one that's not, and I need to trust Him in that.
Absolutely. And when we're dwelling in those past mistakes, and as an entrepreneur, I think about this too. I was talking with I was coaching a client yesterday, and we were talking about her sales, right, and how she was doing and what she was doing, and we were reviewing some of that. And one of the things that she mentioned, and was that, well, the last customer I called, I just really flubbed up, and I was having a hard time picking up the phone and calling again.
Hmm.
And I thought, okay, Deborah and I are getting ready to talk about this. And so, but yeah, that's one of the things that we do. And I think, talking about dwelling on the past and how the enemy loves that. Well, of course, if we aren't building profitable kingdom businesses, if we aren't bringing Christ into the marketplace, or if we aren't doing what we're called to do, what our destiny is, because we're too busy dwelling on that, then the enemy's winning. And I have a real problem with the enemy winning. I don't know about you, but that is not something I like.
Oh no, not whatsoever. Not so. Here's what Connie said. Connie, I just love your comment. Thank you so much for it. Sometimes the guilt can become such an incredible stronghold that requires divine intervention through the persistent power of prayer. Love that reference to Luke 11. Thank you, Connie. You're right. That prayer to God, that we release it. There's a number of things that happen in our lives that we think we should have known better, or that we didn't. Um, we may have caused some harm to another person, and we carry that around forever. And really, it is time to, through prayer and asking the Lord just to open up our hearts and our minds, and being able to say, "It's okay. We've been forgiven."
And you're right. Even in business, I know I've made poor business choices. I've made some decisions that cost me a lot of time and money, and sales. I've made some wrong choices in the past, but that dwelling on it, just it's like it just drags out forever.
Exactly.
Instead of just saying, okay, what can I learn from that? What do I need to take from that, Lord, to put in my basket to help me on my road, on what you called me to do? Well, this brings us to the talking point number 3. And that is to reach towards your calling instead of focusing on past mistakes. And I love Philippians 3:13 and 14, where it says, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Jesus Christ. Wow, it is so important for us to be moving towards our calling instead of focusing on the back. If you've ever tried to walk backwards, it doesn't end well. I don't. Well, maybe some of you are a little. I'm pretty grace challenged, so walking backwards or continuing looking over my shoulder means I'm going to run smack into a wall. We don't have eternity on this earth to accomplish God's will in our season. But
Well,
by
it's just like
letting go of the past.
it's like that saying that says, "Don't look in the rear view mirror unless that's the direction you want to go." We can't drive forward if we're watching what's happening behind us. And it's a race. We have a limited time, it's important for us to keep focused on what that purpose is that we've been called to accomplish. And if we're sitting around having a pity party, and we are afraid to move ahead, then we can't accomplish all that God's purpose for us from the start of eternity. So you're right, Wendy. I don't like giving the devil any due, and I want to be able to hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant."
Oh, absolutely. And the other part of that as well, Deborah, is when you were talking and you mentioned that, what really hit me is when I'm so busy dwelling on my past mistakes. Okay, so the key word in there is my. And I'm not looking outward, I'm looking inward. And I just made it all about me.
That's right. It's
Not good.
here's me and here's the universe.
That's right. So again, it comes back to how do we serve when we're so focused on ourselves and our past mistakes and all of that condemnation. And so I think that this is really where I want us to go. I want to stay forward and looking forward. There's also objects in the mirror may appear larger than they are, or whatever that, I don't even know what that saying is. The objects in the rear view mirror.
Yep. Yeah.
So again, those objects are smaller. They're behind us, and how do we move forward and focus on others, focus on the serving. I think that is interesting in the fact that we started with jealousy. We ended up realizing we need to focus on serving. And then competing and not completing, and now, kind of finishing up this 3 weeks about the condemnation and just letting go of mistakes. And again, each one of these things keeps us from walking in our purpose.
It sure does, Wendy. And and if you notice, all 3 weeks is all about us. It's not about God. It's not about His goodness or His plan or His purpose. And so when we can get our eyes off of our own situation and we're looking at God and His face each day, what is His direction that He has for us, then, these things don't have the impact. The enemy doesn't have his weapons that he can use against us because they have no effect whatsoever. Here's what I love about our talking points this week. I'm going to share this with you. Receive, resist, and reach. And so I think that if we can remember those, that we can receive forgiveness, that we can resist dwelling, and that we can reach forward with God's help, that, it's going to help us when these things come up. I don't know about you, but I'm pulling out my backpack. I'm taking stuff out of it. I'm going to start throwing it away. What about you?
Here's what I recommend. Just pick the whole thing up, throw the whole thing out. Don't even try and unpack it. Just all the stuff. We don't even need to look at what's in there. It just needs, the whole thing needs to go. I got a dumpster out back. I don't know. It might be big enough for mine. I may not. I may have to, a little bit at a time. But we just need to let the whole thing go because we are forgiven. And, I want to look forward on what God's called us to do. I want to look forward to the path that the Lord has placed me on so that I might serve Him, serve His people. He's given each of us a purpose. And that's what I want us to do, is walk in that purpose, walk towards that. And, if you're struggling with understanding what your purpose, please check out our Identity and Destiny course. I think it's just a really great opportunity. If that's a space you're in, let us help you with that. But Deborah, so let's throw a couple of other scriptures, because I really want to make sure we're leaving you with a couple of scriptures to kind of go back to. And so I'm going to start here with Psalms 51:10. Create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. That feels like a mantra that I should start saying 10 times a day, right? Create in me a pure heart. a steadfast spirit within me. I love that.
Well, here's one, because I think many of us look at our youth and we talk about what we did when we were younger. And out of Psalm again, Psalm 25:7. Do not remember the sins of my youth and my rebellious ways. According to your love, remember me, for Lord, you are good. And yes, yes, Lord is good. And he does love us, and he loves us more than we can ever imagine. And so it just pulls at my heartstrings to think about that. And so, forget those things that happen. We learn from them. They're part of who we are. They made us into the men and women we are today, because I'm sure we have some men listening. And then we walk in that love, and we show it as an example to others, that they can also receive it. They should be able to see uh, that love of Christ within us in every action that we take. And so I love this one, Wendy.
Well, there's a couple others that I can pull out, but I'm gonna just leave with a final one here from me, which is Isaiah 43:18. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. And the thing is, there's a period at the end of that sentence. It's not a comma to add something else. Do not dwell on the past, but this, or do not dwell on the past, but you can that. This is forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past, period. And if the Lord told me not to dwell on it, then why am I?
Yep, it's a great command as we're thinking ahead. Well, Wendy, I've enjoyed this series a lot, and I'm glad that you brought up about identity and destiny, because those who may be listening to us, as you said, if you need a purpose questionnaire, you kind of want to know where you're at with the purpose, just let us know, and we'll be able to get that out to you and talk to you about what that results are. Um, it has been a life-changing curriculum for so many of us. And I'm excited about what the new classes are going to look like going ahead, Wendy, as we make some adjustments, but moving ahead and celebrating one year.
I know. Well, ladies, you are all invited to our 1 year celebration on March 23rd. I cannot believe it's been a year, Deborah, that we have been hanging out with these ladies. We have been just learning and growing together. So go to our website. I think Victor might even throw the link here. It's up here on the chat box and everything. And join us for our first annual celebration. And I love that it is in the month where we are celebrating women. And this is really exciting. I don't think we didn't even do that on purpose. We discovered it after we decided our start date, and then we thought, oh look, what a cool coincidence. So I love that.
I know. Well, there's been a few things like that, isn't there, Wendy, where where the Lord just had His hand in it as He guided us, and ladies, well, we're going to be celebrating this past year. And I know that sounds kind of weird through COVID, but we're going to celebrate this past year and the Lord's hand in it. We really want to raise up praise and blessings to Him for all the ways that He has demonstrated His love and His presence and the direction in which He's leading us. And so join us. We're going to look beyond COVID-19. We're going to look beyond lockdowns. We're going to be looking at how God's been moving in our lives, and some of the plans that we have going forward. So there's some fun things that are coming, and we have some special gift. We have a special gift, Wendy.
I know. I'm really excited about that, and I'm really excited to hear because we're going to have some women who've been impacted over this last year through Identity and Destiny, through the BE certificate class, through our life group. Who are going to really we're going to come together and we're going to chat about, what how God moved in our lives over this last year. Because I don't know about you, but I am sick and tired of hearing how awful it was.
I am too. Well, I know I'm a Pollyanna about this. I just know that the Lord's moving into something really great, and all of this cleaning out stuff that had to go on. So I'm excited to see what this new thing that He's doing, not only in us individually and in our hearts, but also collectively as well. And so I like I said, we're celebrating, and that's how I'm looking at it.
Oh, absolutely. And we're gonna look forward, not backward. And we've dumped our backpack full of our past mistakes. We're gonna move forward on how God is calling us. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so honored to spend this time with you. We hope this conversation has maybe encouraged you to take your backpack that you're carrying around and throw it out as well. And join us looking forward. Deborah, one thing, again, I love how God works. So we spent the last 3 weeks looking at the things that, some of the uglier things, and I think, wow, we're going to celebrate on the 23rd. And I thought, oh, good, we just got rid of all this yucky stuff. And so we can celebrate even more. And I thought that was pretty cool too. So keeping us looking forward. So thank you for joining us today. We love all of you, and we love spending time with you. But remember, as you go forth this week, remember to look to the Lord in His strength. Seek His face always. 1 Chronicles 16:11. We love you, and you have a blessed week. See you next Thursday.
Bye, everybody. Love you.